Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalam ala ashraf al-anbiya'i wal-mursaleen. Muhammad wa ala alihi wa ashabihi ajma'een. Amma ba'd, ikhwatul Islam, ya ibadallah. I thought I'd do something a little different today, and that's respond to some questions that were left in the comment section to some videos. And hopefully, the people will benefit from this, and Allah knows best. But a brother gives us salams, or after giving us salams, he asks, do you know of any masajid upon Salafiyah near Simi Valley? No, I don't. Another person, after giving us salams, he asks, is your email the same as listed? Yes, it is. Right? So those are two real quick questions. Another question, can someone with incorrect Aqidah have knowledge? Yes, they can. Some of the A'imma, some of the A'imma, they have mistakes in Aqidah. Some of them were influenced by the Asha'ira. Yet they were people of knowledge as it relates to fiqh, usul fiqh, qawa'id al-fiqhiyya, mustalah al-hadith, the science of hadith in it of itself. You have some scholars of the past that have mistakes in Aqidah that authored some of the most relied upon books concerning the science of hadith, for instance, or usul fiqh or fiqh, and thus forth and so on. So yes, that's very possible. We have this example from the A'imma of the past. This is a question coming from the book to the Minhaj, from the video to the Minhaj Know-It-Alls, or however I titled that video. Can you give an example of haphazard things? Meaning haphazard things, I'm assuming that spubs have done. Clarity should be shown to a claim, or else you're doing the same thing you're accusing spubs of. And at this point, I want to say, Allah Musta'an. I mean, for whoever's asking this question, you might want to crawl from under the rock, from up under the rock that you've been under for however many years, and thus forth and so on. The mistakes of S-pubs are clear. Their ghulu, their ignorance, and their hastiness as it relates to waging war against Ahlul Sunnah, it's clear. What rock have you been hiding under? What rock have you been hiding under? But since you're asking for an example, that's real easy to bring. We have the example of them warning against Abu Abdussalam Siddiq al-Juyani with no proof. Abu Muhammad al-Maghribi was the one who ignorantly put himself out there like that. And then the rest of them, and we're talking about du'at here, they're du'at, they co-signed it. Now we've debunked, refuted that years ago. So and there are many more examples like that. Right? So that's an example just to show you their haphazard manner. And we won't spend too much time on it because I believe, and Allah knows best, the person, I don't know who this person that asked the question, but I really have to say, I really feel like, man, what rock are you hiding under? Where have you been for the last 10 years, 12 years? Where have you been? Anyway, next question. Does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala love polygyny, or does he merely allow it? Allah limited the amount of wives which a man can take from an unlimited amount to 4. That doesn't necessarily mean Allah loves it. Allah allows divorce, but does not love it. Also, could it be that the Prophet ﷺ stating that if a man has something he loves, that he will desire more, he speaks more to the greed of man, and not Allah's encouragement of that greed? Topics should be considered from every angle, not just in a way that supports our own views, and Allah knows best. And this particular question is taken from the video, You're Not Enough Man for Him. And in that video, the hadith where the Prophet ﷺ basically stated, Law anna ibnu Adam, Law anna li ibni Adam واديا مليئا من ذهب أحب إليه ثانيا. If the son of Adam had a valley that was filled with gold, then he would love to have a second. وَلَوْ أُعْطِيَ ثَانِيَ أَحَبَّ إِلَيْهِ ثَالِثًا. And if he was given a second valley of that same nature, then he would love to have a third. Anyway, this particular, some of the things that's in this question obviously is posed by a sister. In that video, "You're not enough for him," the answers were in that video. This spoke to the very nature of man, that man craves whatever a man loves, desires. If you want to use the word greed, whatever, it doesn't really matter what word you use. That's the synonymous with craving, wanting, and that's for so on. The point is, it spoke to the nature of man. Whatever man loves, he craves that. He desires that thing. But in the video, I clearly mentioned that Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala has placed restrictions on human beings. That we have restrictions that are placed on our heart, our tongue, and our body limbs. So whatever is allowed for man to go after from that which he loves and desires, then it has to be within the confines of that which Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala loves and is pleased with. That was made explicitly clear in the video. I don't know how that was missed. And so I fear that this is a person that is affected by feminist, modern woman feminist type ideologies, because there's a couple of things. Well, these are questions. Maybe the person is just trying to learn. So these are questions, so I'll give the benefit of the doubt here. But the first question is concerning polygyny. Does Allah love it or merely allow it? The second question, and this is totally irrelevant to the issue, Allah limited the amount of wives which a man can take from an unlimited amount to 4. That doesn't necessarily mean Allah loves it. What's the argument here? It was wisdom. And, there's wisdom behind why it was limited to 4. As opposed to man just being able to marry 100 women. I mean, is it really possible for a person to really be just between 100 wives? Or is it possible for a man to be just with the amount that Allah limited it to? If we understand that Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala is his wisdom is perfect, free from flaw and defect, and likewise his hukum, the rulings that he places upon us, is perfect, free from flaw and defect, then do we have any doubt as it relates to the wisest thing that was done is that it was limited to 4? Because man is capable, for those who can be just, to be just between 4 women. I don't think anybody's going to doubt that. So 1, yes, Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala does love polygyny, because polygyny is marriage. Allah loves marriage, regardless if you marry 1 woman, 2, 3, or 4. But we're going to see how from when answering this other part. The sister states, Allah allows divorce but does not love it. Allah allows divorce and does not love it. That's the claim. That is based off a hadith, أبغض الحلال إلى الله الطلاق. The most hated of that which is permissible to Allah is the divorce. This particular narration is collected by Abu Dawood in his Sunan, likewise by Ibn Majah in his Sunan. And Al-Hakim also collected it. Al-Hakim declared it to be authentic, mistakenly. And you have A'imma that differed with him on that grading of this narration. We have Abu Hatim and Al-Imam Ad-Daraqutni that clearly spells out that no, there's some irsal in this particular narration, meaning the hadith is mursal, and the mursal hadith is a hadith, a particular type of weak hadith. Right? For the students of the science of hadith, they know exactly what I'm referring to. So much so that Shaykh Al-Imam Al-Albani, rahmatullahi ta'ala alayh, graded this particular narration to be da'if. It's weak. It's weak. So unless you have something else to state that Allah hates divorce, then that is something that we probably shouldn't run with. Shouldn't understand. Now, But even with saying that, the scholars of the past, when they explain this particular narration, they don't explain it to be literal. What they state is that what is intended by it is that because the talaq, it is an action that is allowed, but it does not bring about a reward on account of doing it. You don't get rewarded for divorcing your wife. Nor are you brought closer to Allah by divorcing your wife. Right? You're not brought closer to Allah by divorcing her, nor are you rewarded for divorcing her. So this is what they state is meaning by disliked by Allah. That you don't get those two things. But now if we were to look at marriage, are you rewarded for marriage? Are you brought closer to Allah by way of marriage? Both answers are yes, and that doesn't matter if you're marrying 1, 2, 3, or 4. When you marry a second wife, you are brought closer to Allah, and you are rewarded for marrying a woman. Why? Because marriage is an act of worship. Marriage is an act of worship. So much so the Prophet ﷺ even explained to us every time we come to our wives intimately, we're rewarded for that. We get rewards for that. It doesn't matter if which wife it is, the one that you initially married or the one that came later on, and that's for so on. If she is your wife and the hukum is that she is your wife, you're married to that woman, every time you have relations with her, you are being brought closer to Allah. You're being brought closer to Allah. Hold on for 1 second. What's up, man? Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Okay, mashallah.
California, right?
Yeah. Barakallah. You're down the street from me, right? You're walking.
The Ocean Pines now.
Where's that at?
Berlin.
Oh, okay. So that's kind of... Okay, la best. Wafakakum Allah. So you had it there now, then?
Yeah.
Wafakakum Allah.
Yes.
Yeah, good.
You need the oil, brother.
Yeah, barakallahu fikum. All right, assalamu alaikum. Sorry for that short cut in, but at any rate, so those 2 points are clear. That you're rewarded for being married, regardless if you marry 1, 2, 3, or 4. So that's the point. And then the last part of this particular question. Topics should be considered from every angle, not just in a way that supports or our own views. No, topics shouldn't be considered from every angle. Topics should be considered from the angle of that which the legislation and revelation indicate or point to. Any other angle is just misguidance. If the text doesn't point to what you're saying, if the text doesn't point to what you give consideration to, what you're trying to give consideration to, then who cares? Now you're taking the text outside of its context. So it doesn't matter every angle. We don't take it from every angle. We take it from the angle of that which the revelation indicates or points to. And Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala knows best. So I would say, get off this modernist, feminist foolishness. That's what I would say to the person. I mean, on the law here, what is feared is that the person is upon that. And Allah knows best. Another question. I agree that a man should avoid drama queens, but what advice is there for a traumatized woman who has baggage and had many husbands? Should she become independent in order to pay for therapy and healing and make sure to avoid marriage? It's okay to say don't marry this woman, but you also have to complete the picture. What is she supposed to do? Usually, Islam doesn't encourage a woman to be single and independent. So should she somehow cease to exist or live in exile? This is taken from the video, Many Men Type Women After Islam. And I thought I answered that in that video too. I don't know if the person looked at the video from beginning to end. I believe this may be a sister who may have wrote this question, but Allah knows best. But the answer was there. The answer was there. If that woman who is suffering from trauma like this has no concern to fix her, to deal with her traumas, to whatever her traumas may be, to deal with them in an effective manner, to better herself, then men should not be shamed into marrying these types of women, because the ramifications as it relates to marriage to them are great and grave, especially when children become involved. Your lineage is cut off. Your lineage could very, very well be cut off with a woman playing games with you and your children, giving your child her last name instead of your last name. The 9-time married sister that I was referring to in the video did that. So your very lineage is in jeopardy. Don't marry these types of women if they're not trying to deal with who they are. They're demons in the closet. Why should you care who marries them? You don't care about the 40-year-old virgin sitting up in Egypt who would be a much better wife to this woman that had 9 opportunities. You don't care about her. So why should you care about this woman that had 9 opportunities? 10 opportunities, 12 or 13 opportunities. You got some sisters that's running around like that. So they got to deal with themselves. They got to rectify themselves. And they have to make themselves worthy of marriage, being with a good man. They have to build themselves up to that. And if they're not even trying to, then why do you have concern about what happens with her? You're not going to be worried about her on Yom Kippur. And you're not worried about women that are much, much better than her that are right here in this dunya right now. You're not worried about it. So you're going to be concerned about this type of woman who in marriages displays no taqwa, but these women over here sitting up in Yemen and Egypt and all these places that reach a certain age and can't get married and are religious and would clearly be good women, you're not concerned about them? Come on. The last question, how are your wives? And I think this question was sarcasm. Allah knows best. It's coming from the fickle woman of our society. It's coming from that video. It says, how are your wives? How amazing are they? I know it's profitable and the trending topic is women, but what about yours? I'm sure you miss them so much. Yeah, I think this was sarcasm, whoever this person is. Somebody responded to her, I hope you come to Islam so you will be in a state of comfort and happiness like his wives are. That's a good response, right? Now, I'm not sure if this woman was Muslim or not. Her name was Petty Betty Reddy, right? You know, well, Petty Betty, this particular question seems pretty petty. Why are you concerned with first and foremost, I don't have wives, I have a wife. But why are you concerned about my wife? Why are you concerned about my life? You know, my life particularly, you know. How amazing is my wife? She's very amazing, because she's a righteous woman. She's a righteous woman. But why is that any of your concern? Why is that? Why would that be your concern? How amazing my wife is. I know it's profitable, blah, 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 blah. I'm sure you miss them so much. I don't know what you're talking about. My wife is at home. I just left her, all right? So what are you talking about? Miss them? Anyway, what are you trying to get married or something? Or what is this? I don't get this. You know, it seemed like it must be sarcasm, and I don't know if the woman is Muslim or not. But if she isn't Muslim, may Allah guide her. If she is Muslim, it's like, come on, man, what kind of question is this? Sarcasm? If that's sarcasm, the Muslims were supposed to be bigger than that and better than that. And Allah Ta'ala knows best. So anyway, that's the response to those questions. And with that, subhanakallahumma wa bihamdik, ashhadu an la ilaha illa ant, astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.